Hello YouTube, this is Sam from Untitled Schooling. In this session of the video we're going to talk about the brachial plexus. So brachial plexus is a plexus which is formed by the anterior rami of the roots of C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1, which is the thoracic. So you can say that brachial plexus is formed, it is actually formed in posterior triangle of the neck by union of the anterior rami of 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th cervical vertebra, including the first thoracic vertebra. So this is the brachial plexus. When anybody asks you the nerve roots of brachial plexus, you are going to say C5, C6, C7 and C8, and again the T1. There's a confusing thing that C8, we know that there are 7 cervical vertebrae, but what is this C8? It's a confusing thing, but you have to accept it as it is. You have to just remember it. You just want to say it is there. It's C5, C6, C7, C8 and T1 are the nerve roots of the brachial plexus. So the brachial plexus actually supply it has 3 types of nerve supplies. It have got sensory, motor and sympathetic. In sensory nerve supply, the brachial plexus supplies the skin. That's why when you touch you sense something. So this sense is actually by the brachial plexus. So sensory supply is of the brachial plexus is for the skin, deep structure of joints, and for the motor supply, like you got information for motor supply, it's muscles. Brachial plexus and motor supply, which is muscles, and sympathetic, we have got the blood vessels and the sweat glands. So this was the basic introductory thing regarding the brachial plexus. Now let's get into the real thing. So the plexus is actually branched. It's a very detailed. So we have to understand everything, every branching of the brachial plexus. All actually arise from the roots. So we start from the roots, and we then there's a division. Then there's subdivisions. Then from roots we get trunks, and trunk, then we get divisions, cords, and finally the branches. They're not difficult to remember. They are very easy. Just stay with me till the end so you get the whole idea. Very simple. So the plexus can be divided into the roots, trunks, divisions, and cords. And in the final phase we have got the branches. So the roots of C5 and C6, we're starting here. The roots of C5 and C6 join together to form the superior trunk, and the root of C8 to T1 join together form the inferior trunk, and C7 goes as it is and forming the middle trunk. So C5, C6 join together for the superior trunk, and C8 and T1 join together form the inferior trunk, and the C7, which is the middle trunk, it goes as it is. And again, now let's move again forward. So then each trunk, you can see that each trunk divides into an anterior and posterior divisions. Look, this we have shown few anteriors and few posteriors, but remember this one, that each trunk, I mean each and every trunk divides into anterior and posterior divisions. So each trunk then divides into form anterior and posterior division. So the anterior divisions of the upper, this is the upper, anterior division of the upper, or you can say the superior and middle trunks join together to form the lateral cords. Get it? Divisions of the superior trunk and the middle trunk join together and forming the lateral cords. It is the anterior division. We haven't shown the posterior division because we're going to talk about the posterior division now. And the last one, that is the inferior trunk, moves as it is, and it is a division that moves as it is, and it also forms the medial cords without branching further. So this is the anterior division of the inferior trunk. It goes as it is, and finally it has posterior and inferior divisions. The interior and posterior division. The anterior division goes as it is and forms the medial cords. But the posterior cord is formed by three posterior divisions of every trunk. We talked about it, that each trunk has two divisions, anterior and posterior. But in here, in this case, each posterior division of each trunk, that is superior, middle, and inferior. You can see highlighted in the green that this is the posterior division of the superior trunk, this is the posterior division of the middle trunk, and this is the posterior division of the inferior trunk. So they join together to form the posterior cords. Get it? And these cords again give different branches. So what happens? Look at the picture. We are going to talk about the branches again. We're going to simplify the branches again. But in here, in this picture, you can see from cords, like what structure arising, what branches are arising from cords. You can see from lateral cord, we have got musculocutaneous nerve, and one half of it, the median nerve, we get one half from the lateral cords and one half from the medial cord. So from lateral cord we have got musculocutaneous, median, one half of it, and from the posterior cords we have got axillary nerve and the radial nerve. This is very important to remember. Remember that radial nerve arises always from the posterior cords. Again, we have got finally the ulnar nerve, which actually arises from the medial cord, and again one half of it gives branches to the median nerve. Now let's move towards the proper naming and properly branching the each and every brachial plexus, or you can say branching the each and every brachial plexus.